The Denver market has been taking buyers and sellers on a ride the last several years, kind of like being at the rodeo. Is this the year the market tanks, crashes? Hey everyone, it's Alyson, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. Tension around real estate runs high pretty much all the time. Let's be real, right? If you're a seller, you want to get the most out of your real estate possible. If you're a buyer, you want to get the most real estate possible for your money. There's two parties involved, so there's always a little bit of tension, and it's not as easy as click and send on Amazon, even if you're planning to buy a new construction home. So what's the reality in the Denver market? Is it in the worst shape that it's been? Is a crash ahead? Are we just weathering a correction that seems to go on and on? Well, let's take a look at 6 years of data. I promise this will feel painless, but it's really valuable to take a look at this. It's going to give us a feel for where we are and where we're headed. So first up is the 2019 data. This is our average home prices and our median home prices, and we're comparing year over year. So when we see this 2019 data, what we're seeing is the change from 2018. Next, we're going to be looking at 2020 versus 2019. After that comes 2021 versus 2020, then 2022 versus 2021, right? You're getting this. 2023 versus 2022. And then we have the year we just left, 2024 compared to last year. So 2 years before the pandemic, that first column, our market grew in the 5% range. Now, on average nationally, we're always aiming for about 4%. Here we grew 5%. There was no blip in anyone's mind we were going to have a pandemic. We were 5% at the median, a little above on average. 2020, the year the pandemic did hit versus the year before, we see quite a bit of growth. Now, this was an odd year, right? For Denver, our biggest month of the year that year was October. The market froze up in the spring. We didn't really get back out and shop until summer. So fall became our spring. It was just such a weird time for everyone, right? Lots of things were virtual. People weren't sure if they could move and travel. So it was just a very strange year. The following year was such a big year in all of real estate all over the country, particularly very desirable markets. Desirable was different for different people. However, Denver saw such an influx from people who had always wanted to live here but felt trapped in their job. Remote work was huge. We had a massive influx of folks in high-paying jobs that didn't have to leave them that could then move here. So we have median price growth at 19% that year. Our average actually a little bit less. Then we roll into the next year where there is fiscal policy constraints, interest rates start to grow, and the whole market shifts nationwide. Even with rates going up, our market still grew 2%, 2.5% in the median, 2% on average. By 2023, we're starting to see our strongest correction. Median prices, totally level, 0% change. The average prices change. That tells us we're seeing more homes on the higher end sell. This means we have buyers who probably didn't even use a loan. So this changes the dynamic of the market. This is why often I'm sharing median price and talking more about median price. But we still saw growth in the average segment, but our median price point did not change year over year, 2023 to 2022. Now we look at 2024 versus 2023 and we are up. So we have seen where we went from pre-pandemic to pandemic down, and we are on a curve back up. It would be very unusual for us to see the trajectory shift again and drop back down. Could it? Absolutely. But do I think it will? No. So this takes me to my first prediction for 2025. Where do I think we're going to be for home price growth for the Denver market? For the data that I share with you guys, not what they're showing on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, Goldman Sachs, whomever is going to talk about our Denver market. The data that we pull and we analyze, that is real-time data. I think we're going to fall between 4 and 5% again in 2025. I don't think we're going to outpace this by much. I don't think we're going to drop below this. I think we're going to really hold true to where we were in 2024, again in 2025, and I have 3 reasons for that. First, rates are not expected to drop into the 5s, low 5s, and really trigger a big push into the market. So with nearly every prediction house, pundit, anyone you can talk to, anticipating that rates are going to be in the 6s and to maybe the low 7s on the high end For 2025, we already know what the interest level of buyers is there. Now, yes, some callousness develops, and so we'll probably see a little more interest heading into the year for buyers who waited last year thinking things would soften up this year, and we're just not seeing it. And if we do get down into 6.2 territory, that may be exciting enough to really draw some good activity. That's what happened last year at the start of 2024. We hit 6.2, 6.3 for a couple weeks, not really even that long, but it triggered a couple weeks of activity in the market. And so if we can pull low enough in the sixes, it might stir some excitement. But we are not expecting to just hover in the low sixes and touch the fives, triggering an onslaught of activity. So that is the first reason I do not think that we're going to see a surge in the marketplace nationwide or anything bolstering a lot of activity here in Denver. Now, I don't think it's going to change the love affair for buying long term. So many of you had interest rates at 13, you or even your parents had them at 18, and we know the value of purchasing a home. It's not like any of you need a reminder on the value of buying. You're watching videos on buying a home and selling a home, so you already are into real estate. But this is such a powerful reminder of the value, or if you have any friends and family who are serial renters, this reinforces what you are doing with your money. The second reason I don't think we're going to outpace about 4 to 5% growth in home prices is that I think we're going to see an increase in inventory. So we had strong months of inventory as we got to the back half of the year in 2024. I think we're going to see decent months of inventory available in 2025 as well. I think we're going to see sellers who want to put their home on the market. They waited last year hoping, again, that rates might loosen up because sellers are usually buyers. Even if they're not buying in this same market and wanting to go somewhere else, they're always hoping that their money might play more favorably for them somewhere else. And if they're not seeing it loosen up, they don't necessarily want to wait any longer. So we're going to see that. We always have life situations. Most of the people I'm dealing with that are coming in are coming here for jobs. And we're also seeing a lot of folks who are following those grandchildren. They've waited and they don't want to wait anymore. But there are divorces, the following of loved ones because there's been deaths elsewhere around the country and they want to go back and be close to family. There are so many different reasons people move, and they're not going to wait for fiscal policy to make their life easy or what they wish for. And the third reason why I think we're going to see modest home price growth this year is that I'm anticipating a delayed start to our spring market. This time last year, and this is very common here in Denver, we come out of the Christmas holidays like a rocket. We just see things shoot. The activity is strong. We have buyers who are gangbusters. The sellers are seeing their homes get snatched up in a couple of days. It's a little more sluggish this year. And I'm not surprised. We have a transition in administration, and there is a lot of question around what the new policies under the Trump administration are going to look like. Whether you're excited about them, whether you're not, whether you're happy Trump got in and you still have questions, no matter what your political standings are, a transition in administration often brings questions just from what that means to people who work in government. And that is certainly what we're seeing. We have 6 bases in Colorado. 5 are toward the south. We have 1 up here. And there is a lot of work in aerospace defense here in Colorado, which brings a lot of STEM jobs, which are very high paying. And when I talk to my current clients, folks who have talked to me last year with plans to move but wanted to wait through election season, they're still waiting. And my clients who moved here and work remote are feeling a sense of uncertainty about what it means to continue to work remote or what the contracts mean for their company. And there's some questions maybe about job security or maybe not for them, the people under them. There is a lot of questioning going on, and that tends to just bunge up the market. So the Department of Governmental Efficiency, veterans benefits, tariffs, of course, we're hearing so much about that in the media. We won't know anything until after inauguration and at least first 30 days in first 30 days in office, and maybe longer for the new administration. So all of that to me signifies we're going to see a delay to the spring market, and that's probably not going to only happen here in Denver. So unless we're talking about the Northeast where that market just hasn't slowed down, the Northeast has just kept going and going and going, I think there's going to be a little lull and we'll see things happen a little bit later. Now, if you're a seller watching this, trying to get a pulse on the market, it is not all bad news. Fannie Mae regularly updates their home buyer sentiment index, and they just completed it for December, and it increased 5.9 points, 6 points, which is quite a bit. It was already doing quite well in the 70s. It's gone up even further. So we are seeing that home buyers are on the edge. They are poised and ready to go. They are ready to dive into the pool. They just need to see a few things play out so they feel confident to take the leap. I just think we're going to see a delay, not a stop. We're just on hold. So sellers, don't feel like the market's frozen up around you. I just think we're going to see it lag a little bit. So there are my 3 reasons why I believe we're going to see 4 to 5% price growth in 2025, staying roughly on par with 2024. From there, I anticipate we're going to see an upward trajectory. So for the last 15 years, the average home price growth on an annual basis for Denver has been 7%, outpacing the national average of roughly 4%. I think we'll get back on pace over time. It's just going to take a little while for the corrections to happen. This year, though, I think we kind of keep some status quo going, and then we'll see that upward trajectory after we get into 2026 and beyond. Now, what I don't think is going to happen is that we're going to see prices drop at all. We are still in a housing shortage. The new builds have not been able to keep up. We would have needed 50,000 homes to be built each year. 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. Builders have not done that. It would not have been great on the prices for the Denver market for existing homes or builders, but that's what we would have needed to play catch up. And they absolutely have not done that. They have strategically pulled back to deal with the mortgage rates and things of that nature. In fact, we just got the jobs outlook for Colorado from Leeds School of Business out in Boulder. And Colorado is only projected to grow 1.25% for 2025. Well, they analyze multiple segments of business and industry across Colorado, and construction's one of them. They said there's only 6,000 single-family home new permits on the docket right now. So we are definitely short of the 50,000 that we need for 2025 alone to catch up, much less the other years that we haven't had 50,000 homes. So we are not going to see the housing shortage buttoned up, which is also going to help keep the need, the supply, the demand for houses and keep home prices afloat. That's been some of that pushback and struggle mentally for so many people going, we have 2.5 months of inventory or 3 months of inventory in Denver, but prices aren't falling like we're expecting. What is going on? Well, it's demand. And the fact that sellers just go, maybe I don't need to sell. My house is paid off, right? So we've got so many parts and pieces to the puzzle going on, which is why we aren't seeing sinking home prices here in our market. Let's transition to a more nuanced discussion of market dynamics in 2025. Let's talk condos and townhomes. For 2024 versus 2023, for average and median price, they've trended negatively. We're at about 4 to 4.5% negative year-over-year change in 2024 compared to 2023. Many of you know that if you've been with me all year. We've watched this roller coaster together. We've ridden it together. It's been a very dynamic year for condos and townhomes. Much of that has to do with HOAs, insurance policies, and trouble for potential buyers. It's not the top line price or value of the property. In fact, we've gone back together and looked at the fact that I could go back 8 years sometimes and find that the median or average price was matching up with 6, 8 years ago. So it is not that we are looking at what the seller's listing it for as being the issue. It is all the underneath cost. All of a sudden the HOA has gone up to $600, or there is just no master insurance policy in place that works for the underwriter, because once the master insurance company pulled out, those are the ones that insure the exterior of the building. They're insuring all of the pool, the clubhouse, the land, the roof, the structure, the firewalls in between. There's just so many components, parts, and pieces. And so many of these companies just said, we're leaving the business, not just leaving Colorado, leaving a few of them to pick up. And these few said, we can't take all this risk ourselves. Now, these insurance companies don't hold all that money and insure. They go off and sell, kind of like someone sells your loan off in another market. But trying to figure out how to take all this, bundle it, go off and sell it, and find people who wanted to buy it was hard, and they're struggling. And so trying to figure out how to put these together and find someone who would buy this part and buy that part and do this and not be underinsured, so an underwriter would take care of letting a buyer buy what the seller was selling. It has been a mess, let me just say. So it has left these condos and townhomes, typically townhomes that are listed as a condo on their documents, sitting on the market, and it's made it really hard. And so days on market have sat, and list prices have sat and sunk. And I think we're almost coming out of this roller coaster, just so you know, sellers, and even for you buyers, if you want something fully low maintenance, because that's often the easiest way to get it. Because we are 3 years past the Boulder fire, and that was honestly our major triggering event to all of this change. We have had fires in Colorado, but that one being so close in on the Front Range and not out on open space or rural area, places that were already labeled as fire zone, that event really tripped and triggered so many of these insurance companies. So we are now a full 3 years out, and the 3-year cycle is the farthest out by which these companies are renewing and evaluating these policies. So I think we're almost done with any of the issues around this. So I would expect by next year, hopefully, we'll see we've kind of got a new baseline, we've got all the kinks worked out, and we'll see something normal emerge in the condo and townhome market. Now, for those of you who either want to invest, want to buy a second property, or wanting to buy a second home here, want to split your time, I talk to a lot of people like that. Do you get a small single family? Maybe Denver's out of that budget. So then do you go to a townhome? Do you go to a condo? Townhomes, a true townhome, often follows along the single family home trajectory of pricing. It just lags a little behind and falls below. A condo, think apartment style living, a building that lives like an apartment, stacked corridors, elevators, they are different. They can have their own issues. Think COVID, no one wanted to share an elevator, no one wanted to have a hallway. So you have to look at those a little bit differently in terms of what trend they're following, okay? All right, let's move on from condos and townhomes. Now, is Denver a buyer's market or a seller's market? Well, it's both. Well, it's neither. Well, what answer should I give you? It's a convoluted little market because it's not a neutral market, it's not a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market. It depends where you are, where you're looking, what segment you're in. Here's what's been going on in the market over the last year. In some areas, in some segments, there are homes that are selling, sometimes with multiple offers, in under a week. So we have this very fast-paced market, and sometimes it is based on location, and sometimes it is based on the echelon, the tier, the type of product you're looking for. There may not be enough homes at, say, 900 to 1.1 million that are updated in school district X, and so they're gone like that. And they're literally moving off the market in 7 days, 10 at most. The average for sold homes has been about 30 days. In that, a lot of those homes end up still doing a price cut to get sold in 30 days. The average time on market for homes that were still sitting there, meaning they hadn't sold yet, still sitting there, still waiting, 80 days. So we are talking about you sell right away, you sell in about 4 weeks, or you are sitting on the market almost 3 months. Now, I went through and looked at homes that were on the market for 70, 60, 90 days, thinking, are these dogs? Are these ugly? Are these horrible? I took out the new builds, right? Because they can be on there for 4 months. They weren't. Now, I can't do a sniff test through photos, but this is why if you watch other videos, especially my market updates, I would say go make an offer. It means it's overpriced or, there's something else going on. Take out the ones on the road, take out the ones under power lines. And I think we're going to see it again this year. So it's a very fast market, priced right, looks good, right segment, or it's going to be too slow. And it's seller expectation, seller wish. And it's the struggle of buyers who need help with rate, the buy down, want concessions, something of that sort. And our market is not where it was exactly however many years ago, or the house isn't the same as the neighbor down the street. So you've got a stable and dynamic Denver market in front of you. When is the best time to buy or sell in it? Well, this video will dive in depth and give you all of the details with data to inform you. But here's the quick summary. Buyers, if you want the best price, buy before March or after July, so August on, but you won't get the best inventory. And sellers, you should list your home March, April, and May typically for your best pricing. If you want to buy and sell before August, I recommend in any market that you start talking to an agent in the next 2 weeks. There are so many moving parts and market dynamics, and you want the agents to start working with you now. Buyers, know that rate volatility is expected to be a concern this year, so don't try to get qualified when you heard that the rate dropped. Do it ahead of time and then work with your lender and your agent to build strategies around how to capture rates as they fluctuate, hopefully in your direction. Sellers, the rate volatility can impact you sometimes as well. If you happen to list your home just as rates drop, you may see a little more activity, a flurry of interest, possibly a slightly more aggressive offer because someone wants to be able to lock in while the rate is down. If you happen to list as rates bump up, it may slow things down. It just depends on how interesting and captivating your house is. You may see that it doesn't matter and people want your home anyway. That's always the goal. So produce a product that is desirable on the market. You have one chance to shine. Hey, if you're curious how my predictions from last year stacked up, am I any good at this? I'll give you a quick breakdown. One of the topics was recession. We summed up the topic of recession with the numbers 2024. Most estimates had 2024 with GDP growth ending up at the range of 2.7%. I'd estimated 2. The unemployment rate is at about 4.2%. I had said we'd have about 4% unemployment. And we have a 12-month PCE inflation rate at 2.4%. I said we'd have 2. And we had 0 recessions. We forecasted interest rates by the quarter. I don't even see anyone doing that this year. I think they just got burned by last year, but we actually didn't do too bad. So first quarter, 7.28, the real was 6.75. The fourth quarter is where I was off the most. I said I thought we would be sharply below 6.4, and we weren't. I was horribly wrong on projecting the number of homes sold for this year. We came in at about 38,000 last year, and I said we'd add 7,500 to that. We came in pretty much on par. We sold about 3,600 this year. So I got that one woefully wrong, but I thought we were going to see rates just down, 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 and that did not happen. But here is one where I did shine, and I outshined the big AI real estate houses, Zillow, Realtor.com, all of those. They said that nationally home prices were going to decrease across the board. They were not predicting any growth in the real estate market. And Realtor.com said that the Denver market was going to decrease by 5% in overall home values. Boy, was that not right at all. I mean, they got a swing of like nearly 10% there because we were up by 4.5%. My prediction was that we would grow from 3 to 5%, and we came in at 4.5% on the median. Now, if you would like to be able to get strategic about your plans for growing wealth in real estate, please reach out. I would be so delighted to connect with you and see how I can support you. And I will see y'all next week.